Hello, friends, and welcome back to Elaborations with Skellington Grin. I'm Ava, your gothic witch big sis, here to stir the cauldron of spirituality, healing, and everyday magic with a dash of wit and a whole lot of truth. Today's topic might make some people clutch their pearls or their rosaries, but we're going there anyway because I want to talk to you about why I call myself a witch. No, we're not talking about witches in the Hollywood way, not in the hex your ex way, not even in the flying across the moon on a broomstick way, or jumping off of the roof and flying like they do in Practical Magic. Even though that's one of my favorite movies. For me, being a witch is about reclaiming a word, a practice, and most importantly, myself. So, without further ado, let's dive right into today's episode. Little short and sweet intro, and then we're just going to go right into it. Let's be real for a minute here. Witch, especially in today's society, is a loaded word. Centuries of fear, persecution, and demonization have twisted it into something people either fear or fetishize. To some, witch means evil, and we see those depictions of old hags with warts on their noses, or we may even think of the witch from the original Wizard of Oz. To others, it is this new, trendy TikTok aesthetic with moon water and green hair dye. Now, that is no offense to dyeing your hair green or any other color. I have dyed my hair almost every color under the sun, aside from yellow and orange. But I also use moon water, and moon water is an entirely different thing, but hey, look, it's basically take some water, speak some intentions over it, and let it charge under the light of the full moon. But here is the truth. For me, witch means so much more than just making moon water and having crystals and burning incense and doing all of these different things. That's part of it, but it's not the entire scope. It means that I am someone who works with energy, cycles, and intentions. And I also work with spirit. I am someone who's willing to be in conversation with those things that are unseen. I am someone who chooses to walk a path that isn't dictated by institutions, dogma, or anyone else's approval. And when I call myself a witch, I'm not simply playing dress up and putting on a cloak or a black dress or a pointy hat and grabbing a broomstick. There's this sound that was really popular on TikTok at one point, and I can't even remember where it comes from, but it comes from something else completely different. But it's not just a large black kettle, a large pentagram on the floor, an altar, and a black robe, a pointy hat, a broomstick, 3 newts, a lizard tongue, eyeballs. Like, it's not just that. Okay? But I am naming the power that I live with every single day when I call myself a witch. So let me take you back. If you remember Monday's episode about how I mentioned that I was always into a little bit of witchcraft and a little bit of the spooky, I was always drawn to the witchy path. High school me had pentacle necklaces, eyeliner thick enough to block out the sun, and books about crystal stuff in my backpack. I didn't have the language yet, but I knew that I resonated with the archetype, and I was watching movies like Practical Magic, and I grew up watching Harry Potter, all of that jazz. You can go tune in to Monday's episode to hear the whole story again. But I felt like I was this outsider, but also this healer and someone who moved differently than my peers around me. And fast forward to my early 20s when I started actually practicing more intentionally through tarot, rituals, and spell work. And that's when I realized this is more than just a vibe. This is actually who I am. And it continued to develop as I was in college and figuring out what I wanted to do as far as what I wanted to specialize in with my degree path. I simultaneously studied witchcraft. And I am now nearly 31 years old and I still identify as a witch. And I have learned so much throughout my journey and it has evolved over time. But here's the thing, claiming that word, witch, was both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because I knew that it was going to come with judgment, even from my own family members. But it was also liberating because it gave me permission to show up as my full, magical, intuitive, and unapologetic self. And now I know that when I say witch, some people are going to imagine cauldrons bubbling with frog legs and bat wings, and we're going to cue the cute aesthetic and the song from Harry Potter. You know the one, double, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn. Yeah, okay. But it's not just that. And in fact, it's not even the cauldrons bubbling with the frog legs and the bat wings and all of that. My witchcraft often looks more like this: brewing coffee with intentions in the morning and stirring it clockwise to invoke those intentions, sweeping the floor while imagining stagnant energy leaving my home, lighting a candle and whispering a wish into the flame, journaling under a new moon and setting my intentions so that when the full moon comes around, I can feel the culmination of that intention setting. And sometimes it also means cleaning my floors with cinnamon oil and blowing cinnamon dust into my house to call in abundance. I do that. I do, in fact, do that. Okay. But being a witch doesn't always mean all of these elaborate rituals or spell jars packed with 37 herbs that you can only find in some mystical apothecary. And it doesn't always mean putting crystals in your bra, even though I sometimes do. What being a witch is truly about is that everyday sacredness, living with intention rather than always living on autopilot, and creating and carrying that intention everywhere that you go. It is about recognizing that the true magic isn't just the spells and the incantations and the work that you're doing. The real magic is your connection to yourself and to whatever you believe in, and recognizing that it's all inside of you. So why not just call myself spiritual? Why specifically use the word witch? Because words hold power. And for me, witch is a word that has been used to silence, shame, and persecute people, especially women and outsiders, for centuries. But by claiming it as what I identify as, I'm refusing to let fear define it for me. And I'm choosing to define it for myself. And for me, being a witch means being connected to cycles, rooted in the earth, attuned to spirit, and unafraid to create my own path. And it means that I don't need someone else's permission slip to be powerful, magical, or have this sense of belonging. And because I never want to leave you without something truly practical, even if it is a little magical, hee hee, pun intended, here is a little witchy practice that you can try today, whether you identify as a witch or not. Light a candle. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just whatever you have. It can even be a vanilla scented candle or even a pumpkin waffle scented candle from White Barn. I don't care. As long as you are being intentional when you light it. As you light it, speak that intention out loud. It can be as simple as, today I choose clarity. or I welcome peace into this space. Then sit with this energy for a moment. Gaze into the flame and feel that flame reflecting your own inner spark. That, in and of itself, is witchcraft. That is power. Simple, but real. So, in effect, that is why I call myself a witch. Not because of stereotypes, not because it's trendy, but because it's true to who I am. Because witchcraft for me is not about the spectacle. It is about presence, intention, and reclamation. If this resonated with you, or if you've been reclaiming your own words and identities, I would love to hear about it. As always, you can find me on Instagram where I share more about tarot, witchcraft, and spiritual living. And if you're curious to dive deeper, whether you want to learn tarot or book a reading with me, as always, check the links in the show notes. Until next time, may your magic be grounded, your spirit be bold, and your words be your own. This has been another enlightening episode of Elaborations with Skellington Grin. I'll see you next time. Bye!